Right, guys, what's up? We're live
Uh-huh.
again. Cruz and Phil are here. Uh, you know, Obviously, if you guys been paying attention week to week, there's been a lot of stuff that just keeps kind of materializing or
Is that
unmaterializing.
me? You froze up. There you go.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're clear. Yeah, what's going on? Happy
How's it going?
Monday.
Happy Monday. So there's obviously, I'm in that mode now, just trying to prep for my trip. It's well underway, but I definitely have a lot of things that I have coming up that I need to definitely complete before I get on the road. So been hammering away at that, throughout the week, even on the weekends. So that's what's been going on with me. But I have, had time to relax and whatnot. But it's definitely
Yeah,
it's moving. Things are moving.
no, it's flying. I mean, like I was just saying to you, don't get me wrong. Like stuff's great. I've been having a blast back home, honestly. Hanging out with some friends when you can, getting out, enjoying myself. Definitely. Just need to getting that feel for a little mix up, a little change of pace. It feels, even though stuff is good, crazy as it sounds, don't get me wrong, like my life's good, work is good, it's really simple, easy to maintain, I have a ton of fun. I don't know, just without the traveling and without something else, you start to feel like it's just that hamster wheel a little bit. Like what's going on, like really, what are you like working towards, what are you like enjoying living long term, right? It's
Hmm.
kind of just a little bit of a filler right now, which is okay. It's a really decent filler. I'm not complaining. I have a good life, but uh, definitely need some of that extra excitement, something else going on. You know what I'm talking about? That little bit of thrill of something extra.
Yeah. Well, I think we're, at least for now, we're in a really good place because I guess a lot of the restrictions have been loosening up a little bit, to some degree. To some degree.
They are. They
Uh,
are.
like I said, every week seems to be like a new story. Because like last week, I was saying like, oh, there's cases have dropped, coincidentally in Ecuador, but
Yeah.
there's no like definitive reason why or that I've heard of,
No.
to determine these types of things. So again, I'm feeling antsy as well as far as being able to go out and do stuff, just because, yeah, it's getting that little shock about going someplace and being in a place completely different, doing things a little bit different. I think
Yeah, you
spices
know what
things
I mean.
up.
It's that little extra. It's that little extra zest. That's that seasoning on life
Yeah.
when stuff's a little on the go, unknown, a little unpredictable, new place, new something else. Um, that I'm just gonna be honest. Like life here is for me. I don't have a bunch of kids running around, worried about all that extra stuff. So life is it's kind of easy here. It's not it's not a difficult thing to operate.
Mm.
You do a decent job at work, you go enjoy yourself. Day to day takes care of itself. Yeah, I need that extra little something going on. So not sure quite when that's going to happen. Obviously, some we talked about before, lots of plans have gotten canceled and everything. Still maybe hoping for a couple week thing, end of June into July, but that's still a little up in the air. I think the big one, which maybe to just set it at some point, like in stone, like 100%, because I think it's almost with the way that things are changing right now with the vaccine, the restrictions, the CDC, all this stuff. I'm feeling confident about the future a bit, right?
Well, I think for traveling wise, I think, yeah. Um, my personal view is so I'm optimistic about life in general, at least for myself.
Yeah.
But as far as like situation in the world, I'm not too convinced. I think there's some
What do you
dark
think? We got
clouds.
we got vaccine passport. Is that what we're talking about?
No, I think it might be just a combination of things,
Yeah.
because economically, I think worldwide there's a lot of things going on, and it's really tough to peg like what's going to happen, like I said, on a day-to-day basis. Just in
Yeah.
the course of 1 week, there was the gas price surge, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's the supply chain issue because there's a bridge down in, I think, Mississippi, that looks like it's
Hmm.
it's falling apart. So Barges didn't want to go through the Mississippi River to go deliver things. So I think there's a combination of things that are happening. Me personally, like I said, I feel like I'm well positioned to kind of deal with any of the stuff that goes along. But I think there might be some difficulty kind of along the way as we progress through. Last year was one thing. This year is a different scenario.
Yeah.
Like I said, with strangers, for me, my life's been going pretty well, so I can't really, can't really complain.
So the one I'm thinking is, I'm gonna talk to Pat a little bit. I think I'm gonna, which would be a lot earlier than we normally would. I think I'm gonna get that flight to Tenerife just booked.
All right.
Just set it. Like, Spain's open right now, technically, with, given certain restrictions and everything.
Yeah.
There's been generally good news from that digital nomad thread out of Tenerife and life out there. Figure it out. And set that time for August and just be like, this is when we're going. So it's kind of set and booked, and it's like something big looking forward to. So that way, even if stuff falls through in between there, I know that come whatever, say that second week of August, like, I'm heading out. I'm heading out for a couple months probably.
Well, you know what the thing is to do too is, like, just insure the ticket for the flight, so that.
So I think I would pick up my what is it? Traveler. I forget the one that I always get for travelers insurance. World Nomads.
Yeah,
World Nomad Insurance. I'm pretty sure theirs actually covers if something happens with the flight or anything like that. I'll have to double check theirs, but yeah, no, you just whatever, get the insurance on it or something else. I think under the covers, I think JetBlue is actually still, or some other airlines are still doing like the no change fees. They're just not advertising it. I think they have it.
I think with JetBlue, you have until the end of this month.
If you book.
Yeah, if you book before the end of this month, they'll do the changes without additional fees.
Yeah. So look at some of that, but yeah, I'm thinking about just whatever, just getting that on, just saying it. Like, you know what? Anything happens, and then that's June and July, which isn't a terrible time to be around here, the summertime. Anyways, if other stuff falls through, and knowing like August, yeah, it's a flight out. It's a flight out there, and go and enjoy that, and then from there, who knows?
Cool. That gives me a time frame too, as far as booking my flight to Tenerife, because I do have to come back to the U.S. Finish up my routines out here, and then once I get that, it's because I have to be back for a couple of months, get a few things done, and then be able to head on out. But I think that's going to be something. Definitely. I mean, that place just looks really cool. We have several viewers right now, and I don't know if you guys ever looked at some of the things for Tenerife, but that place just looks just absolutely amazing. So different. Let me type down for you guys what that 10. I totally spelled that wrong.
Yeah, it'll be something to have there, just to really look forward, kind of plan around, knowing that that's coming up, and then figure out anything in between. Because I really want to get out there, real bad, real bad.
So are you going to Mexico with Pat? Did you guys book the flights, or
no? We didn't book. I talked about it. He's still open for something in the end of June. So I have a family friend, actually had to follow up with that apparently actually has a condo, and it's actually down in Puerto Vallarta, which is one of the places that we were kind of thinking about potentially. It's come up, as a spot, pretty low key, good nightlife. It's on the Pacific side, actually. So if something to work out with their condo, being able to work something out with them, and they wanted to do it, then that would change. I'm just waiting I got to follow up and then hear back, because that would be a way, because with the Airbnb prices, you know how it is. Like, if you book a month, the month is such a better rate.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more worth it. But with that condo, we could possibly just do like a couple weeks over there. Get the flight down, chill there over that condo, check that out, and then day come back, something like that. So I'm just waiting to hear back from that and then hit them up. Honestly, I was pretty distracted this week, just work and other stuff. And then before I even knew it, the weekend was over, and here we are again on Monday. That's that whole just like, hamster wheel when you're back home and stuff is kind of all tidy. You get complacent, you get kind of set in your ways a little bit, and then time flies by. I really want to enjoy my time.
Groundhog Day. That's what it is.
Absolute Groundhog Day. Absolute Groundhog Day.
Puxatawny Phil is the groundhog.
So let's talk about a side note. We had Andrew message earlier. What's the chance NWBO, which we talk about stocks once in a while. This is a particular stock that I've watched, for quite some time now. What's the chance that these guys finally release some data? Holy cow. They have been running me around for so long.
So I think today's spike is an overreaction. I think it'll, at some point, probably this week, maybe tomorrow, it might go down. Just because I think when the news came out, like, they're finishing up the facility to do the production facility out in the UK. It didn't really pick up yet with a lot of people, and then once that news, once that news kind of broke out, it was going to be, it got on people's radar. The whole thing is, what's going to be the result of the phase 3.
Without the data, it's not going to hold. That's the thing around it. Like without data, without the final, and this is a bio, so obviously they're waiting for some phase 3 clinical trial data, which has been locked, waiting for the statistician. Without that data, it's all just the up and down gamble.
The only thing that would indicate that it has passed is that they're still going through with the factory in the UK.
They're still going through with the factory, and they probably have, it's been unblinded to them, so they know the data. The statisticians are compiling the results, right, to be presented. Yeah. But they have some insights into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the signs point to yes, something is going to happen. Like I said, if you just take the factory as a catalyst, I would say that would be the biggest catalyst. But the data itself would confirm that like, okay, because they made purchases along the way. What was it? Blastworks was the name of the company.
Yeah, they grabbed Blastworks, and they've been continuing to get approval and finish the build out to produce more at their facility. It's still only built out to produce a smaller volume, but at least enough to start producing initially.
Yeah. I mean, much better than some stages of these other biotech stocks that are out there with phase 1 or pre-phase 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that this one has been. Are you talking about the vaccine? No, I'm just kidding. Are you? So, yeah, no. This is a long running. Obviously, it's phase 3. It's just been so long running that it's been a painful ride, sir. Painful ride.
So here's the thing, all right? So if we have any friends that are listening, because obviously I'm pretty outspoken, right, in the text messages for the most part, and so people will bring up like different stocks or whatever, and some of them are like not even in phase 1 or not even phase 2 or whatever, and it's like, oh, this thing is great, and they have one successful test. It's like one successful test. The only thing holding these companies up are large institutions, which give them at least some credibility, but it doesn't give them a guarantee that they'll get past even their first several phases.
Yeah.
And I was just
phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, and for in those types of situations, right? You know, the company is not making money off of producing drugs. I know that what was it, a couple years ago, Trump did release, the Right to Try Act. I think that's what it's called. But basically, any drugs that are in preclinical trials or phase one, phase two, phase three, you can bypass some of the rules that are involved with the FDA to do to use the drugs, especially
Mhm.
if you have a life threatening disease or something like that.
But you got to pay for it. It's not going to get
Yeah, it's
covered.
yeah, it's not covered under insurance. So
So if you have the money for it, you can try it.
yeah,
But
so
that's the big problem.
yeah, and a lot of people won't do that. So a lot of these biotech companies are being brought along because they have large institutional investors to be able to get them to the next stage. And one of the ones that got just clobbered, over the course of what a month was TBIO, which is another type of CRISPR technology one. But some of our friends were talking up real big time. It's gonna blow up. Oh, it did blow up, but it just blew up the wrong way. Which is understandable. To me, anytime there's a piece of news that comes out, it's an overreaction, whether up or down. So I don't,
Always.
I don't really get phased. Obviously, we want things to go up, but it's one of those. I mean, they had a test, um, and there was a news piece by TBIO, and one of their test results, one of the more recent news, that nothing happened. Right? It didn't help the patients and stuff like that. So my response to one of our friends, Andrew, right, was like, oh, at least nobody died.
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, was the positive side. Nobody died.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Do you know how it is? It's always bad news. It's going down. Neutral news probably going down. Good news. There's still a chance it goes down.
yeah, so
It's just the way it works.
yeah,
Unless you get that social media hype, then yeah, stuff just goes completely not based in reality and all over the place.
yeah. I mean, it's the stock market. I mean, we can't really predict when the stock price will go up and things like that. I know with NWBO, it doesn't. They don't. They don't. They don't release a lot of press releases.
No, they're super quiet, which kind of hurts them a little bit, but also maybe keeps them out of some trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think the problem with a lot of people is the impatience, right? Because everything's so immediate. So everyone, I don't know if you've ever looked at like forums and stuff, and it's like the level of impatience of people with stuff happening. It's like, oh my god, like when is the CEO going to release a piece of news? It's like, dude, they just released something yesterday. What do
Oh yeah.
like people are expecting like stuff to just pop up every
So
single day, and it's like
this
it
one,
doesn't work like that.
nah, this one, and I mean, I'm closing in on about 5 years holding this now, so a little while, five
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, but that's normal though. That's a
Yeah, I
normal.
mean, it's a junior biotech, right? Not
Yeah.
even, not even junior. I don't. Absolutely tiny, tiny biotech in clinical trials. So we will see. But that was on my radar today. Obviously, over the past couple of days, it's been creeping up over that news. It's not going to hold without some top line data. Hopefully, that comes out soon.
So a few catalysts I think that would help the company move higher is if a large institution buys in at least like a percentage. That would that would actually put it on the map pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that. I mean, I think that they might be looking for buyout offers, and who knows, they may have been offered buyout offers that they didn't like and just turned down.
No, not even a buyout offer. I'm just saying like no, I'm not talking like warrants or or options or anything like that. I'm just talking like, oh, a large institution buys a large sum of common
Oh,
shares.
on the open market, large share purchase.
Yeah, if you see something like that, obviously it has to get filed to the SEC within 24 hours. And again, if that hits the news quick, that'll be a huge catalyst because then now now that they have the phase in, so they're in phase 3, which is a good sign. They have the factory in the works, but then they also have if they have some large institution interested in them, it'll turn the tide pretty quick.
Yeah, grabbing the stake. Yeah. The other catalyst that people talk about is obviously this is a pink sheet. It's the uplist, but the uplist is an extremely long process. Like that's not happening tomorrow. It takes a while to uplist back onto the NASDAQ, which is a little bit of an issue for some of the institutions because some of the institutions they're not allowed to touch pink sheets. They won't invest in them. They have to be at least on the NASDAQ, traded there before they'll invest in.
That would actually, that too would actually be a pretty decent catalyst, right? Because if they file an S1 to uplist, which they do meet one of the criteria for,
they are over $1. They've maintained it for long enough now. Yes.
So, no, but that's after filing. So after filing, and then it gets reviewed. From my understanding, they have like a 60-day window to maintain the dollar. It's like a dollar price, a trade volume of a certain amount, and like a market cap. I forgot what the actual requirements are, but when they file an S1, it's for the uplisting, and however they do it. Right now, as far as what their stock price is, they're in a very solid position to be able to file an S1 and feel comfortable along the way. So that would be a catalyst. Institutions can buy OTC because because like it's different levels, similar to like the Dow, Russell, S&P and stuff. So there's OTC pink slip, there's OTCQ, OTCB, and whatever the fulfillment requirements are. Very similar to getting uplisted to the Nasdaq, which is that actually would be a very huge catalyst. But they can acquire institutional buyers outside the scope of whatever the common shares are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they actually just got an alert. They just posted their 10Q. I'll read that after.
So yeah, so I think a few of those, I would say any one of those things, that would be my, knock on wood, would be my triggers to see like the next level, because like it stayed within, what is it, like $1.50, $1.30 to, I would say $1.60, $1.60.
It's maintained that for quite some time now, quite some time. So that's been really good, some positive there. But yeah, no, this is as you know, this is one of my extreme speculation ones that we'll see if it plays out. No paper hands here. No paper hands here. We're all diamond, brother. All diamond.
Well, 5 years is a long time,
Yeah. I've had a lot of chances to make a couple bucks early on it. But we're holding strong. We'll see how this goes.
Hodling.
Yeah, hopefully I have enough money left in it at the end for some Kleenexes if it goes bad.
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I think the whole factory thing has that I think was one of the bigger catalyst points. Again, I think there's this weird kind of expectation about time and how fast these things take place. It's like, dude, they're building a biotech factory in the UK. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you look at the message boards and stuff, it's like, oh, there hasn't been any news. And da da da. And when is this factory going to be up? It's like, what are these people? Well, I was just about to say a very bad word. What are these people, crazy? They have to look at it and go, all right, there's we have some time. like especially with tech, especially on the hardware side of things, because they're making a drug. Like that's not, it's not like software in the sense it can be iterated really quick. It's like no,
No,
they got
people are crazy. Stuff hasn't been perfect, fine, but and they keep waiting for something like, listen, you're only waiting for one thing. You're just waiting for the data. All right. You're either in or you're out. Or if you want to try and swing trade, the thing goes up and down a lot. If you can, you can catch it and ride it for a little bit. It's easy flip money to be made on it. You could have made a ton of money over time flipping this. But
the problem, it's like it's tough to predict because there's nothing to indicate why the price changes. That's
no, just absolutely just for no reason, just whoop, or just a random. They'll actually finally say something. It'll be a good day. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah,
at all.
Like what was it? They made that news piece last week. It was like Thursday or Friday is when the price jumped. But before then, it was like the price would fluctuate. And
one day, no reason.
10-15%. It's like, okay, where's the news? Where's nothing?
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. So to me, as swing trade wise, it'd be one of those like you just have to find the lowest price that you think you can enter and then wait until
you just kind of like take a look at where like the resistances are kind of going on right now, try and get in low, make 10, 12, 15%, and then you just sell and you try and keep doing that over and over. But that's not my style. So I've been riding it for a while.
Yeah. It's too unpredictable. To me, it's too unpredictable in that way. So I try to, I don't try to go, I swing trade stuff, but I look at swing trades with a lot more predictability. That's easier to gauge over a period of time, whether it's a swing trade or I happen to want to trade it that day, which is very, very rare. Prime example would be like Mara, Neo, ACMC. Like those are swing trades. High risk. More specifically, ACMC is very high risk, but it's one of those. They have catalysts that make it bump up and down real quick. So it's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy. It's much easier to look at and go, okay, the next piece of news, this thing's going to go up 15%, and then you walk away from it. And 10%, in one week or 3 weeks is not a bad thing, especially if you drop in 10-15 grand.
No. If you're playing that, it's not bad at all, right?
Yeah. So this is not financial advice. This is for education, entertainment purposes only. So anything that we say or do or talk about is strictly our own opinion. So keep that in mind, anyone who's watching or listening. But these are stuff that we do, and we do talk about these types of things every now and then. I mean, Cruz, you already know, like this is a good portion of what I do well, not really a good portion. I don't.
A little chunk during the day, a little chunk during the week, of course.
Yeah.
Time investing, researching it all. I mean, if you really want to do it and do it reasonably well, like you got to take your time and really go through and really check financials and know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Research is so critical. I think people miss that part of, I think there's a lot of FOMO money out there, which
right now is all. What do you mean? Right now is all FOMO money everywhere.
Things are just flying all over the place. It's kind of crazy.
So, yeah, I hate this market. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's been easy. Stuff's been going up, but it's not. It's not real. It's not accurate.
For people, it's good for people that are trading, because if there's a lot of people that are going into it, it's so much easier to catch pretty big wins because everything swings so much.
It's a bad time to invest. It's a great time if you're a trader.
Yeah, like I can honestly say from September until about March, it was like taking candy from a baby. So,
Everything. You might have had like a smidge down for a little bit, but like just hold it for a little bit longer and it magically came back up.
oh, it was the amount of things swinging was literally like in 2 to 3 weeks, things would go up 100, 150, 200%. It was, and it would happen in like a day or two, within that 2 week time frame. And it
Yeah,
was
it's
one of,
crazy.
I think now, it's going to be a little bit different, because there's a lot of new SEC regulations that are happening, and um, I think there's I think some of these large institutions are going to be some of the reasons why this market goes to basura,
Oh,
goes to trash.
well, there's definitely, I mean, the interest rate's not going to go down. The interest rate is at some point going to get hiked.
Yeah,
Extra stimulus money that's still being pumped out on a weekly basis is going to go away.
funny money. Yeah, the funny money.
There's a lot of things that are there and then that are really going to cause a little bit of a correction, right?
Yeah,
I don't think the economy is necessarily in quite the state that we're going to reach recession, but I'm eyeballing a 20% correction. Like I think we will absolutely see a 20% correction sometime in the future, right?
yeah. So Penny Pincher asked, "What do you guys think about the gas prices?" I'll start first. I think they're gonna keep going up, and I think part of this whole economic collapse is partly artificially being created. I'm not buying the whole supply chain issue going on, because all these kind of strange coincidences happened over the course of of the beginning of this year. You had the Evergreen um, tanker ship that happened to do its routine travels through the what's that called, through the canal.
Panama Canal,
No, not the Panama Canal. The one in the Middle
the
East,
Suez.
the Suez. So, and then, like I was saying, earlier, you have the some infrastructure issues on the Mississippi River. Um, the mayor, excuse me, the governor of Michigan wanting to shut down one of the main oil terminals in in Michigan, like just wants to shut it down because the potential failure. It's like this thing's been running. Um, I know actually which one she's talking about, because I've actually visited these sites.
Yeah.
So, you know, so part of it is being artificially drawn, because you have to think about it like with gas prices. What's happening, right? It's not that there's a limited amount of oil and gas. It's actually there's a glut. There's too much of it. But since nobody was traveling or doing anything last year,
there's a wild amount of stored barrels.
yeah, it's
They're just not selling them.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. They're not selling them, so what they're doing is they're inflating the price.
They didn't stop pumping.
Yeah, and all they're really doing is recouping some of their losses. With that, right?
I had some sushi. I just ate a piece of ginger. Oh, that was spicy. That was a bad piece. That was not a good piece of ginger. In case you're wondering why I'm making this face.
So that's a situation with that. I think that's one aspect that I think is going to continue to drive the economy down. The whole printing money is just going to be a real issue. But part of what's really going to happen, I think, across the line is the food prices are really going to jump up pretty quick, especially if the supply chain, is where the products are coming from are not being delivered. I'll use an example. So whenever I go to the grocery store, I'll buy like cheap apple juice, right? Or I'll buy one from the U.S. And one of the things one of the things I'd recommend, if you guys are looking at products, see where the actual ingredients are sourced. So some of the apple juice that I get from Market Basket, they're typically sourced from 3 different places: China, Poland, and Turkey. And in any given moment, if you look at the bottles, one day it'll just say Turkey, another day it'll say Poland. So you have
Yeah.
so you have to kind of keep those things into perspective. So I think my personal opinion is that uh, oil and gas prices are going to go up. I think there's going to be some new disaster. I don't know what it is, but I would just kind of prep for that, slowly. That's what I'm doing, um, with myself. Just the best the best defense is the best offense in these types of situations where you got to. For me, it's like being
What
in
are you
front
kind
of
of
it.
prepping? What are you kind of prepping? Just like where you have your stuff invested, or what are you doing in general, or just like
Yeah,
in general, just life kind of insulating yourself a little bit?
not necessarily insulating, being a little bit more aggressive, learning a little bit more about different avenues of investment, you know, um, positioning at a wide range of assets. So it's not, so if one drops, similar to having a portfolio of stocks, it's like, in one area, you know, um, like, oh, okay, I have exposure to biotech stocks. Biotech stocks in the last couple of months have been dropping pretty significantly. Um, on the other end, a lot of the tech stocks too have kind of been, well, I think they've been flat. They haven't really been dropping. I think it's,
Tech is honest. They've been in a range. They've been ranged. I'd say the only one, Google, kind of broke out of its range a little bit. But if you're looking at a couple of the other big guys, your Facebook, Apple, Netflix, they've been kind of range trading.
yeah.
They've been in about 10 to 15% range up and down, testing limits.
And to be honest, I wouldn't bet against them. Honestly, I mean, what was it?
Long term, you really can't bet against them, right?
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Google had a record quarter. Excuse me, a record quarter was like 42 billion in a quarter. It's
Yeah,
like,
because everybody was home Googling crap.
you know what I mean? It's like
But
Facebook.
no, if I mean, whether like them, love them, we're kind of mixed on them. We respect them from a business standpoint, right?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
I respect them, just don't necessarily care for some of the decisions that they make sometimes. But from like a outsider looking in, being able to create, run, make a profitable business, I mean, come on, like what can you really say about them? Look at their margins and look at their revenue returns and growth. It's just insane.
Yeah,
Like being able to maintain all of that, it's just bananas.
yeah.
So I would never bet against them. But yeah, you might, if whatever. It's a blue chip stocks. They're saddled for a little while. They're a good buy pretty much all the time, unless they just set a new high. Maybe you hold off for a little bit, wait for a little bit of a dip. They're always a good buy.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, definitely wait for those those randomized reactions. And Sophia says hi, by the way. Hola, Sophia.
Oh, Sophia, what's going on? Hello, how are you?
But yeah, so that was a long drawn out explanation of gas prices. I think gas prices are going up, especially since now things have miraculously, uh, eased off on some of the restrictions and things like that. So these energy companies are going to capitalize on it. But I think there's,
gas is going way up. The second that consumption rate starts going up, that price is spiking.
oh yeah, and like,
we may have all these barrels, but guess what? Like, if you want them, you're going to pay a premium, and people are going to want them. Like, gas prices are absolutely going up.
Yeah. So, I think that's might be the difficult thing to hear for some people. One of the unfortunate things too is that the Northeast is not a producer of these resources, so they have to get piped. That's one of the reasons why the pipeline is such a major pipeline that goes up to the north. And then there's terminals in New Jersey, and then I think there's some piping, and I think it's Colonial also in Canada. I can't remember actually which ones I used to deal with when I was doing the hydro, but it was an oil company that actually owned hydro plants, but they were consolidating their assets and sticking to the oil, and then selling their hydro assets to another company.
I don't really do it, but there is the whole style of like cyclical trading, changing your portfolio around, the market cycle and what's going. I don't really do it, but it would be an interesting time. I actually have one of my investments, one oil stock, Phillips 66, there, which, has been good. It's been way down. I averaged down a little bit, but I mean, it's on a huge comeback now with the prices. They're a refinery mainly, as far as refining oil and other chemicals. So I'm not complaining about this gas price going up, because going to get them, and I've been actually haven't loved them. I've been meaning to get out of them. So a nice bump and a nice way to get them back in the game and get me a nice exit strategy out of them. I'm not going to complain about that.
Well, yeah, well, the thing is too, is you can claim the losses as well. Again, not financial advice. Anything we say.
Oh yeah. Well, they were still giving me a reasonable div that they never cut. So
yeah,
I kept keeping that and reinvesting it and everything. So now if I can get a swing up, get a good exit out of them, and be done with them. A couple little underperformers, got to kind of trim the fat. If you obviously, look for some new fresh ground to search out.
Yeah. So one of the oil companies that I have that I've had actually for a long time, had quite a bit of success, is Enterprise Products. It's the second or the first largest oil pipeline, but they also do storage as well. And they're one of the biggest exporter of oil. Pretty large div. They lowered their div a little bit, but not enough to really actually tell you the truth. They kind of just chug along, so I never really pay attention to them too much. I think it's a pretty well managed company. The oil companies I think will benefit a little bit from the higher oil prices. So one of the things that people have to take into consideration, so there's the pipeline companies, and then there's the actual oil companies that produce them, right? So Exxon is a vertically integrated company. So they have both the exploration, they have the pipeline for transportation, and then they also have the refining for the different products. So one of the things that happens to these large terminals, and I'm not like an expert at it or anything like that, but these terminals has all the different companies piping their oil, and what they do is it's kind of like a train inside a pipe. So there's different grades of oil and materials that pass through these pipes where they get transported, but they never mix. So you can have like diesel and refined West Texas crude oil and things like that pass through the pipes, and they'll never mix, and they separate it out pretty quick. They separate it out very precisely. So one of the ways that these pipeline companies make money is that when oil gets transported through these pipes, these oil companies pay a tariff to the pipeline companies, and that's part of the reason why a lot of these pipeline companies, if anyone's ever looked at pipeline companies, they're mostly, from what I've seen, master's liability partnerships, and it's a different tax code in your taxes. But one of the ways that helps is that it enables them to pass through the losses to the shareholders. So it shows up on your taxes whenever you have a master liability partnership. They send it to you. I forgot what the form is, and then you're able to claim those losses as a partner, because you're not. It's a different title. You're not a shareholder. You're a partner. I don't know about Phillips 66. I don't own that company, but I know.
No, it's not. They're not an MLP.
Okay, so something to take advantage of. Even to this day, a lot of the oil companies have been beat up pretty well. Like I said, I own a pretty substantial amount of Enterprise Products. It's been one of my biggest swan songs over the course of many years. Bought them a long time ago, and I want to say that they pay 6 to 7%, and they've been always increasing their payouts. So a nice little, every quarter comes in, get a nice little
take a little bit,
maybe maybe buy myself some ice cream. I don't
Nice.
know.
So
So that was a long drawn out talking about gas prices and stuff. But
yeah, gas prices, stocks, and everything. But yeah, it's going to be interesting upcoming little stretch. We'll see how stuff goes.
yeah. Despite in the text messages, right, with friends, I always sound like I'm all doom and gloom. But to be really honest, a lot of it's like when you look at the things in a doom and gloom manner, there's opportunities around those areas that exist when those things are being discussed. So
I mean, just being honest, it's just too easy right now. Like, it's too easy. It's people, again, super false sense of security. Like, I can't wait to see people once something starts falling out a little bit. We'll see how it goes. It might really get the ball rolling down, you know?
well, I think the situation with people with work and then mortgages, right? So one of the things that I would particularly look at, or that I have been I have it in my to do list, is actually to look at the bank reports, right? So they're the quarterly bank reports on how much loan is out there and what the percentage of it is default. That's a good, again, it's not a predictor of, like look at the crystal ball and find what's going to happen in the
Mm-hmm.
future, but it's a good way to detect, to see where, you know, is money coming in to pay for some of these loans, or are people or businesses going to default? Because one of the things that a lot of companies applied for was the PPP loan, right? And it's forgiveness for a couple years, but that's only a temporary loan. That's, you get forgiveness for a few years, but what about all the other payments that still need to be paid?
Oh, yeah.
There's bonds, there's revolving credit loans. There's a bunch of things that pile up, and if anyone's ever looked at these reports that the banks put out, for investors, they'll show you, the number of depositors, what the value is on those, and then they'll show you, what their percentages of what they can't recoup.
Well, I
So
mean, like, so you have like a city of Boston where they're saying that whatever it is, something like 30 something or higher percent of like the small businesses and stuff, bars and everything that were there, like, aren't going to reopen,
oh
aren't
yeah.
coming back. Like, that's got to hit the numbers at some point, right? We're
well
not, they're not being accounted for yet.
well if you think of it like this, if you look at restaurants, if gas prices go up, food prices go up, right, and then there's no one to rent out any of these spaces, I mean, it's just going to be a straight shit show.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
my father and I went out to eat on Saturday, and then driving around and just seeing some of the buildings that didn't have any didn't have anything didn't have anyone there, and then it just dawned on me. I go, yo, once prices for everything goes up, I mean, and um, companies can't pay their employees, and then they can't buy, if you go to a restaurant, right? Oh, okay, something must cost $5 or $10, or what, $5 to $10 for a burger, or you saw that prices went up for a restaurant. Don't get mad at the restaurant because they raise their prices. Get mad at like what's going on in society. That's out of their control. I mean, if anyone's ever looked at like any financial statements from restaurants, I mean, the margins are so tight, and then
No, they're making pennies.
yeah, and even now, so you have to take those things into consideration. But like I said, if you start seeing, food prices jumping up, another 10-15%, or you know what, and part of, I think, what might happen, that'll happen under our noses, is that a lot of these companies, the packaging will just decrease, so you don't really recognize it, that the changes have happened.
Yeah, you're just going to get a couple ounces less.
Yeah. So I've said that before numerous times last year. It's like just watch. You know, I was telling our friends watch the uh, you know how much food is inside the packaging. That'll start to show like where we are percentage wise because it's they're gonna do it based on a percentage if they
Hmm.
increase. One of the things, I mean, most recent project that I did was a cost analysis for a restaurant, place with 3 locations, and I'll tell you right now, it's like one of the complaints was the food prices were, some of it was relatively low, but a lot of them were going up. So,
Hmm.
uh, so those things are gonna, like I said, I think for places, I'm kind of just saying New England because New England doesn't produce a lot of the products here. I think it's going to be impacted. I don't know by how much, but some of the conspiracy theorists are talking about it's going to be pretty dramatic. So we don't know. We don't know how this administration is going to be able to weather the storm with the storm that they've created.
I mean, you're gonna have to balance out the inflation, right?
Yeah. So my personal view is spread out, diversify amongst different assets. Um, I'm a little bit more aggressive than most people. So and I'm taking on more risk. So not something that I would advise for people with families and stuff like that. But if you don't have any kids or not too many bills.
I'm like bring to circle this back around to the whole topic. One of the reasons that I'm a little only not only because it's been 5 years, but for NWO, I'm a little anxious for it is I would love that Catalyst event sooner than later to be able to get out and get liquid now and be able to sit and wait, ready
Nah, it's not
for
happening.
ready for an opportunity.
It's not going to be another piece of news until 3 months from now. Let's be let.
No, I would like it to happen before the Catalyst event, before I feel like there's going to be that correction or anything. I would like to get a large chunk of that back to be liquid and ready to strike for some
Uh,
great opportunities that are going to show up.
well, I think the market's gonna take a nosedive.
Wishful thinking, but if hopefully the
Uh,
stars align.
that's what we all want. But I mean,
No.
it's only been every 2 3 months there's one piece of news. Every 2 3 months, one piece of news.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But it could be advantageous too if you think about it, right? Because if one of the great things, so all right, let's just assume that everything goes to shit, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to that point that uh this one company stays alive and people still want to invest or take a gamble, FOMO, whatever you want to call it. That's going to help drive the stock up.
Oh yeah. I mean I'd be fine if the good news and everything popped for me to get out while stuff was in the shitter. I'd be fine with that. I just get me at a good opportunity, get a little extra money to spread around to some good buying opportunities when stuff's down. I would not complain about that.
Yeah, so that's I guess that applies to the whole gas price thing. It's spreading out. I think a lot of it too is your risk aversion. Like people have different risk tolerances that they gotta maintain. Um, like I said, I don't have any major bills. I don't have any loans. So um, as far last year was a very good year for me, stock trading wise. Even in the beginning of the year was a very good year. So I'm still in the buying and selling mode, but it has changed. I'll tell that to everyone. It has changed. You don't get those crazy swings that, like I said, you could wait a day or two, you could wait a couple of weeks, things would move up 100, 200%. You just not getting those crazy jumps. And I think a lot of it has to do with what happened with the whole GameStop AMC saga.
Yeah, I mean it's oversold too, and I mean, and if they're taking a lot harder look at the percentage short, you're not going to get those swings as much either.
Well, again, I think part of it, there's a lot of different regulations. There's dark pools situation. I don't know if you're familiar. So one of the things that these institutions have been doing is they've been selling on the OTC market, so they could sell stuff like GameStop on the OTC that wouldn't show up in the numbers as far as stock sold or bought, but the stock price would still go down because they would be driving the price down in dark pools. So, in this situation with the GameStop has opened up all the problems with a stock market.
Oh yeah,
and now it's actually, ever since then it's been shown, because like I said, you're not getting those types of swings anymore, because of those types of things. There's actually several new regulations that are coming out that could impact how institutions do these kind of things. We'll find out. I mean, there's money to be made, but it's one of those, like I said, people might have to wait a little bit longer. The spikes don't happen the way people anticipate, or the way that, like I said, it was, if someone was trading, I think from this time last year, maybe a little bit early, like March, when the pandemic happened, all the way until March of this year, it was a trader's dream. You know what I mean? It was like you could wake up the next day, and I mean, if you had like 10 grand and you were trading that, it's like you made 15 grand, in a week or two. It was that crazy. In even some sense, net, like you come out the other end just like, holy, like, how is this even possible? But it was happening. You can't. It's not as frequent. But yeah, these are some of the things that that's one of the good things about being able, if you have a job that you can do anywhere, is that you can do these types of things while on the road. And like I said, this is part of what I do during the day. Actually, most of the day is actually just reading, research. But the more you know, the better, right? That's really how I approach it. So,
oh well, haven't talked about the stocks and stuff in a little while, but it's something, investing for the long term, investing for the short term, something that you can do whether you're a digital nomad or not. Yeah. Something that I think everybody should at least take a look into and be involved in some aspect or some form. So, but I mean, all of it, some good investments, helps making getting over to Tenerife a little easier. So no complaints there.
Yeah. We're all crossing our fingers for these catalysts that, like I said, they put out one piece of news every couple of months.
Oh yeah. No. This is just a waiting game. Absolutely. So, but yeah, no, when I figure out some stuff about that, I'm thinking, let me see, probably in the next few weeks, I think I'm going to just pull the trigger and grab that flight. So I'll let you know what the date is. I'll probably message Pat after this and be like, Pat, you want to just book a flight to Tenerife? Just like set it. And he'll probably be like, yep, let's just do that. When I set that date, I'll send it over to you.
Did he square up his apartment?
I asked him about that. Yeah, he's still planning on dumping his lease in August. So that's a big thing. Yeah, he's still planning on dumping that. So he'll be completely free. Traveling around. So I think he would probably do that. And we'd head out to Tenerife. And then from there, I don't know. Maybe he looks for another place. We keep it going. I have no idea. No idea. But I'd like to get that date on the books of like, oh, taking off, and we'll see where this leads us.
Yeah. So no, the good thing is if you set a date that'll that'll give me an easier time. Like, all right, cool. I can book my flight, arrive there, and then you know, I might have to arrive a little bit later, maybe like a couple weeks after. But it's one of
Yeah,
those, you know, we'll definitely.
you got to come back here for a few weeks at least in August.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might be out there a little after us, but we plan being there for a minute. So we plan on using up a fair bit of our EU stay time over there in Tenerife, which is 90 days every 6 months. So
which is a nice amount of time.
it's a good amount of time. I can work with that. You land in August, that means you're there August to September to October. Wait, September, October. Oh yeah, you're there. You can stay there till basically the beginning of November. If you land in August. So I can work with that. I can manage that one. So, but all right, we're wrapping up on time. I got to hit the gym, clean up my leftover sushi. Kuya, what are you up to?
Me, I'm just gonna chillax. Maybe do a little bit more research. Yeah, let us know what you guys think about you know, the discussion today, and hope that was informative and you guys learned a few things. Again, this is not financial advice. This is something that Cruz and I do.
Yeah,
I definitely do a lot more of the trading than Cruz does, I would presume.
I invest. I've been just buying and holding.
So for, you know, so that's one of those things where, you know, it's just a different way to make money. It's a little unusual. I'll tell you right now, if anyone decides that they jump into it really slow. But it's not as consistent as people think it is. Like you gotta kind of balance out when the storms come, because sometimes when they arrive, they arrive pretty heavy.
Yeah, I'm playing the long term.